Have you ever made a decision that changed not just your life, but the life of a helpless creature forever? One misty morning, deep in the dense mountains of central China, a man named Liu was hiking alone, something he often did to escape the noise of everyday life. But that day, something felt different. Through the heavy fog and quiet chirping of birds, he heard a faint, desperate cry. At first, he thought it was the wind, but it came again, sharp, frantic, heartbreaking. He followed the sound through thick brush, slipping on mud and wet rocks until he reached the edge of a steep ravine. And there, lying helpless, injured, and barely breathing, was a tiny baby panda. What Liu did next sparked a chain of events no one could have predicted. And what happened after will leave you speechless. Liu had lived his whole life near these mountains. A quiet man in his late 30s, he spent his days working as a nature guide and part-time photographer. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but he had a deep love for the wild. That morning, he had planned only a short walk. But now, standing on the edge of the ravine, looking down at the fragile panda cub, everything changed. The panda's fur was soaked. Its tiny body trembled with every breath. One of its front legs was bent at an odd angle, likely broken. There were no adult pandas in sight. No mother, no help. It must have fallen, maybe during the night, maybe chased off by a predator. But now it was alone. Liu's heart pounded. He knew the risks. The ravine was steep, the rocks slippery. One wrong step and he could fall too, and legally, pandas are highly protected in China. Interfering without authorization could bring trouble, but none of that mattered now. With only a rope in his backpack, Liu tied it to a nearby tree, wrapped the end around his waist, and began climbing down, slowly, carefully, inch by inch. The cub cried again as he approached, this time weaker. When he finally reached it, Liu gently wrapped the panda in his jacket. Its eyes fluttered open, barely, then closed again. "I've got you," he whispered, though the panda could not understand. "You're safe now." The climb back up was harder. Every step felt heavier. Rain began to fall, but somehow Liu made it. Exhausted, soaked, but victorious. He had saved a life. But he had no idea what saving that life would truly cost. Liu didn't take the panda to a hospital or call the authorities. Not immediately. Why? Because he was afraid. Afraid that the cub would be taken away, and maybe not survive. He had read stories of rescued animals placed in overcrowded shelters or failing to adjust in captivity. So, he made a risky decision. He took the panda home. He lived in a small wooden cabin near the forest's edge. There, he cleared a space beside his fireplace, lined it with soft blankets, and did everything he could to help the baby recover. He fed it goat's milk, crushed bamboo shoots, and even slept beside it during cold nights to keep it warm. He named it May, meaning beautiful. Weeks passed, and May slowly regained strength. She started to crawl, then stand, then wobble toward Liu on unsteady feet. And something remarkable began to happen. May would cry when Liu left the room. She'd nuzzle against him when he returned. She'd play with the sleeves of his shirt and fall asleep on his lap like a child. Liu found himself talking to her, telling stories, singing lullabies. He was no longer alone, but as their bond grew stronger, so did the danger. Neighbors had begun to whisper. Someone claimed they saw a black and white animal through Liu's window. One morning, Liu found a note pinned to his door. "You're hiding something, you'll get caught. It was only a matter of time, and Lu knew it. So, he finally made the hardest decision of all. He contacted a nearby panda conservation center anonymously and told them everything. 2 days later, they came with trucks, officials, and veterinarians. Lu watched in silence as they carried May away. She didn't understand. She cried out, reached toward him, but he couldn't follow. He stood alone in the rain, wondering if she'd ever remember him, or if he had just broken her heart to save her life. After May was taken away, Lu felt hollow. The cabin that once echoed with playful grunts and soft panda snores now felt like a tomb, silent, cold, empty. He went back to his daily routine, guiding tourists, photographing birds, walking the same trails where he had once found her. But nothing felt the same. He missed her clumsy footsteps, her curious sniffs, the way she'd wrap her tiny paws around his finger like a baby. Weeks turned into months, months into years. He followed May's progress from a distance. She had been placed in a rehabilitation center, hidden deep in Sichuan's mountain valleys, a sanctuary for pandas too fragile to survive in the wild. May grew stronger, bigger, more independent. But Liu couldn't visit. He was warned public involvement might draw unwanted attention to the case. He wasn't punished, thanks to public sympathy and the conservationists who quietly admired what he'd done, but he was also not welcome at the center. Still, every year on the same date, the day he had found her, Liu sent a handwritten letter, not addressed to anyone, just sent, along with a photo of the forest, the cabin, and sometimes himself. He didn't know if anyone read them. He just hoped, somehow, May would know he never forgot her. Then, 5 years later, something unbelievable happened. A video was posted by a tourist visiting the panda sanctuary. It started like any other, a group of people standing behind a fence, watching a grown female panda chewing bamboo lazily under the sun. Then a staff member brought a man into the enclosure, an older man with a soft smile and tired eyes. The panda froze. She stared at him, and then she dropped the bamboo. She ran. Not walked, ran, like a child rushing into a parent's arms. She leapt into the man, almost knocking him over. She wrapped her giant paws around his waist, nuzzling into his chest, grunting with joy. The crowd gasped. The caption read, "Panda reunites with the man who raised her after 5 years apart." That man was Liu, and that panda was May. The internet exploded. Millions watched in silence as this massive bear clung to a human like a lost daughter finding her father. Some cried, some smiled, and some were left completely speechless. The video didn't just go viral. It became a symbol, a moment the world didn't know it needed. News outlets called it the hug that touched 1,000,000 hearts. Comment sections overflowed with messages like, "I didn't know pandas could remember people. This just restored my faith in humanity." But for Liu, it wasn't about fame. It wasn't about going viral. It was about a promise, one he never spoke out loud, but lived every day. He had saved May, but in many ways, she had saved him too. In that moment, as she held on to him, refusing to let go, years of silence, sacrifice, and sadness melted away. Pandas are known to be solitary, instinct-driven creatures. They forget easily. They move on, but not May. She had remembered the man who fed her, sang to her, held her through cold nights, and let her go, even when it broke his heart. Because real love, the kind that asks for nothing in return, leaves a mark deeper than memory. Lou stayed at the sanctuary for a week after that. He helped clean, feed, and even play with the pandas. But nothing compared to those quiet moments with May, sitting side by side under the trees, no words, just the rhythm of a bond stronger than biology. And then he said goodbye, this time not in fear, not in secrecy, but with peace. Because he knew something now, something we often forget. Even if you walk away, even if they grow up, even if the world changes, they never forget who loved them when they needed it most.